Hi, thanks for the useful videos. We have sand stuck to the bottom of our pool. We have an in-ground pool with a liner and a sand filter. When algae took over and could not be removed from the water, we emptied the pool. We found a coating of light brown grit stuck to the pool bottom. Also found minute specks of sand in the returns after the water goes through the filter. We are removing grit tediously with a water jet. What do we do once it's done? Do we empty the sand filter to inspect the laterals and bulkhead fittings, make repairs and refill with new silica sand, fill and treat the water? What else do we do so we can avoid a recurrence? Yes, do all of those things.
However,
Change the sand. Did you add a saltwater system to this pool?
they might have solved the problem by simply emptying the water, though.
Okay.
Because it sounds to me like more of an alkalinity and a calcium hardness problem than it does a sand problem.
Or electrolysis?
Or electrolysis, which
Right.
could be bonding of the pool as well.
Okay.
So there's a lot of things. Let's go through them.
Okay.
So this could simply be a water chemistry issue. And if your chemistry is way out of whack, your alkalinity and your calcium hardness are way off, and your pH is bouncing all over the place, you could have literally calcium coming out of solution and depositing on the liner.
Also, I hope before you empty this pool, you put a vacuum on it to keep the liner in place. Otherwise, you're also looking at a new liner.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's a whole other thing. We could have gotten into that as well. But
Okay.
first thing first is it could simply have been a water chemistry issue in the first place. And it would, sometimes that calcium deposit could kind of have a brownish hue to it, and it could look like sand and stuck all over the place.
Right.
Which would also be inside your plumbing, all over the place. So there's that one thing.
Yep.
The next thing could be that you have a crack in a return line. And interestingly enough, you have this Bernoulli effect that happens, that when water is rushing through that pipe, oftentimes it will draw sand into the plumbing and spit it into the pool.
But that
It's a
wouldn't
possibility.
necessarily stick.
It wouldn't necessarily stick.
And you'd have to take it off
no,
with a power
but that you can't eliminate that completely. The third thing would be that you have a crack in the lateral. So your pump turns on, it's pushing water through the filter, squirting it back toward the pool, and in the crack you're getting sand shooting back into the pool. Again,
Won't stick.
not likely to stick. It would be something gritty that you could feel, and then you could look at what's in the filter, look at what's in the pool, and match them.
Yeah.
So you kind of have all of those options in terms of what it could be. I suspect, though, that this is a water chemistry issue, and or the fourth option would have been a bonding or electrolysis issue. We have a lot going on today with leaching electricity into the ground. Literally this week, I met with an electrical inspector on a job, and he was out there and he was explaining why he wants to see certain things now that they didn't want to see before. And he told me a story about here in Livingston County when he was an inspector out here, and they had a case where someone he knew did the electrical. And so he knew it was done right, whatever, it was a fiberglass pool. But what happened was the installer then, when they put the patio in to help hold the pool in the ground, they drilled holes in that flange, that extra flange on a fiberglass pool, and they shoved re-rod all the way around. So it became like this electrical wing span, and none of that was grounded. Every one of those pieces of rod should have had a bonding grid to it and grid the whole thing. And what happened was, a half mile down the road, it switched between the electrical providers, and they had a faulty neutral which was leaching into the ground. And this pool, literally, at one end of the pool, they could measure 6 volts, and at the other end, they measured 3 volts. And when the people were swimming, they were getting zapped. They were getting poked. And what his explanation was, again, why he wants to see all of that and wanted to make sure that I didn't have any other electrical, was because our electrical grid system leaches and loses a lot of electricity into the ground. So the other option of this...
What street was that on? We might have...
I don't know.
Had people affected by that.
Right. So the other thing that we hadn't mentioned is electrolysis, which is electrical trace voltages in the water that are
seeking ground,
and they're drawing hard chemicals out of the water, like calcium hardness, and depositing those on the surface of the pool. So there's a lot of things to look at here, but my suspect would be one of two things. It would be either water chemistry, purely water
Calcium,
chemistry
alkalinity, pH.
issue, or a bonding issue around the pool that's causing electrolysis to happen.
Good luck.